Introduction. Why selling is the secret superpower you already have. You might not realize it, but you've been selling your entire life. Every time you've convinced a friend to try your favorite restaurant, talked your parents into extending your curfew, or aced a job interview by explaining why you're the best candidate, you were selling. Selling isn't just about transactions or pushing products. It's the art of persuasion, connection, and problem solving. And whether you're 10 or 40, mastering this skill can change your life. This book isn't just for future entrepreneurs or corporate salespeople. It's for anyone who wants to get better at turning no into yes. Whether you're pitching an idea, advocating for yourself, or simply trying to make a compelling case for why your little brother should finally take his turn doing the dishes. Great selling is about understanding people, communicating clearly, and creating win-win outcomes. And those abilities matter in every part of life. We'll start with the fundamentals, what selling really is and isn't, then build up to advanced techniques used by top professionals. But don't worry, this isn't a dry textbook. Every lesson comes with real-world examples, from lemonade stands to billion-dollar deals, plus simple exercises to practice in your daily life. You'll see how the same principles that help a kid sell more fundraiser chocolate bars also help CEOs close major contracts. By the end, you'll have something more valuable than a bag of tricks. A mindset. You'll learn how to spot opportunities, handle rejection with confidence, and persuade people without being pushy. Most importantly, you'll discover your own unique selling style, because the best salespeople aren't the ones who mimic others, but the ones who amplify their authentic strengths. So whether you're reading this to boost your career, grow a side hustle, or just become more convincing in everyday situations, welcome. Let's uncover the superpower you didn't know you had. Chapter 1. What is selling? And why it's not just for salespeople. Selling is something we do every day, often without even realizing it. It's not just about exchanging products for money. It's about sharing value, solving problems, and connecting with people. Whether you're convincing a friend to try a new game, asking your parents for permission to stay out late, or presenting an idea in class, you're using the same skills as the world's best salespeople. Think about the last time you wanted something and had to explain why it mattered. Maybe you talked up your favorite movie so a friend would watch it with you. Or maybe you negotiated extra screen time by promising to finish your homework first. In those moments, you weren't being pushy, you were persuading. That's selling at its core. Helping others see the benefit of an idea, a product, or even yourself. Great selling isn't about tricking people. It's not about pressuring someone into buying something they don't want. The best salespeople succeed because they genuinely believe in what they're offering and focus on how it helps others. A teacher sells the importance of learning. A coach sells the value of teamwork. Even a kid running a lemonade stand is selling more than just a drink. They're selling refreshment on a hot day. Some people think selling is only for professionals in suits or pushy telemarketers. But the truth is, we all sell in different ways. When you apply for a job, you're selling your skills. When you campaign for class president, you're selling your leadership. Even when you recommend a book to a friend, you're selling the idea that it's worth their time. The key to good selling is understanding what the other person needs. If you've ever tried to convince your parents to extend your curfew, you didn't just demand it, you probably explained why it was fair, promised to be responsible, and maybe even offered something in return. That's how great salespeople think. They listen first, then find the best way to match what they're offering with what the other person wants. Selling isn't about being the loudest or most aggressive. Some of the best salespeople are quiet, thoughtful, and great listeners. They ask questions, pay attention to the answers, and then explain how their idea or product fits. It's not about manipulating. It's about helping someone make a decision they'll be happy with later. Imagine two kids selling candy for a school fundraiser. The first one just says, "Want to buy some chocolate?" The second one smiles and says, "Hey, all the money goes to our school's new playground. Plus, this chocolate is really good. Who do you think makes more sales?" The second kid isn't just offering candy. They're selling a story, a cause, and a feeling. The same principles apply in business, friendships, and everyday life. When you recommend a restaurant to a friend, you're not just listing the menu. You're describing the amazing atmosphere, the best dishes, and why they'll love it. That's selling. When you explain why your team should try a new strategy in a game, you're selling an idea. Many people are afraid of selling because they think it requires being fake or overly confident. But the opposite is true. The most effective sales come from authenticity. Being honest, enthusiastic, and focused on how you can help. If you truly believe in what you're offering, That energy comes through naturally. The best part? Selling is a skill anyone can learn. It's not about having a special personality. It's about practice, observation, and caring about the person you're talking to. Whether you're naturally outgoing or more reserved, you can get better at presenting ideas in a way that resonates with others. Think of selling like telling a great story. You wouldn't just list facts. You'd build excitement, highlight the best parts, and make your audience feel something. That's what great selling does. It doesn't just inform, it inspires action. So the next time you hesitate because selling feels intimidating, remember, you've been doing it your whole life. Every time you've persuaded someone, negotiated a favor, or shared something you love, you were selling. And the better you get at it, the more opportunities you'll create for yourself, whether in school, work, or personal goals. Selling isn't just a business skill. It's a life skill. It helps you turn ideas into reality, convince others to see your perspective, and create win-win situations. And once you realize that, you'll start seeing opportunities to sell the right way everywhere. The rest of this book will teach you how to do it with confidence, whether you're pitching a product, an idea, or even yourself. Because selling isn't about being pushy, it's about being persuasive, genuine, and, most importantly, helpful. And that's something worth mastering. Chapter 2. The Golden Rule of Selling: Helping People Solve Problems. Selling isn't about convincing people to buy something they don't need. It's about discovering what they truly want and showing them how you can help. Think about the last time you made a purchase you felt really good about. Chances are, the seller didn't pressure you. Instead, they understood your situation and offered a genuine solution. That's the heart of great selling. When you approach selling as problem-solving rather than pushing products, everything changes. People can sense when you're genuinely trying to help versus when you're just after a quick sale. A good salesperson acts more like a detective, asking questions and listening carefully to uncover the real needs behind what someone is looking for. This builds trust, and trust is what turns one-time buyers into loyal customers. Imagine you're selling umbrellas on a cloudy day. A mediocre approach would be shouting, "Umbrellas for sale." But a problem-solving approach would be noticing people glancing nervously at the sky and saying, "Looks like rain. Our umbrellas fold up small, so you can keep one in your bag and stay dry whenever you need." See the difference? One is just announcing a product. The other shows you understand the customer's potential problem. This principle applies to everything from selling cookies for a school fundraiser to pitching a business idea. When you sell cookies, you're not just offering snacks. You're helping people support a good cause while enjoying a tasty treat. When you pitch an idea at work, you're not just sharing thoughts. You're proposing solutions to challenges your team faces. The most successful salespeople in any field are those who focus first on understanding, then on being understood. They ask questions like, "What's most important to you about this?" Or, "What problems are you trying to solve?" These simple questions transform the sales process from a transaction into a conversation where both parties benefit. Remember, people don't buy products. They buy better versions of themselves. They don't buy drills, they buy holes. They don't buy gym memberships, they buy confidence. They don't buy books, they buy knowledge. When you can see beyond the surface of what you're offering to the deeper benefit it provides, you'll naturally become more effective at selling. This approach takes the pressure off both you and the buyer. Instead of feeling like you have to make a sale, you're simply having a conversation about needs and solutions. When you shift your mindset this way, rejection becomes less personal. If someone says no, it just means you haven't yet found the right solution for their particular problem. The golden rule applies even in personal relationships. When you sell your parents on letting you stay out later, you'll be more successful if you address their concerns, the problem they're trying to solve, like your safety, rather than just demanding what you want. Same with convincing friends to see your favorite movie. You'll have better results if you focus on what they enjoy rather than just insisting it's great. Great selling is essentially great service. When you genuinely want to help people get what they need, the sales follow naturally. This is why some of the best salespeople don't seem like salespeople at all. They come across as helpful advisors who happen to have solutions to offer. As you practice this approach, you'll notice opportunities everywhere to help people solve problems. Maybe a classmate struggles with math and you know a great tutor. Maybe your neighbor complains about their slow computer and you can recommend a repair shop. These are all selling opportunities where everyone benefits. The key is to always start with the other person's needs, not your desire to sell. When you make this mental shift, selling becomes not just easier, but more enjoyable and rewarding. You're no longer trying to convince people, you're helping them make good decisions, and that's something you can feel good about every time. This principle will form the foundation for all the techniques we'll explore in the coming chapters. Because when you master the art of problem-solving selling, you'll find success comes more naturally in business, in your career, and in everyday life. People remember and appreciate those who genuinely help them, and that's the best kind of selling there is. Chapter 3. Believe in what you sell. How confidence makes you unstoppable. The most powerful sales tool isn't a slick pitch or fancy presentation. It's genuine belief in what you're offering. When you truly stand behind your product, service, or idea, that conviction shines through in everything you say and do. People can sense authenticity, and nothing turns buyers away faster than a seller who seems unsure or indifferent about their own offering. Think about the last time someone recommended something to you with real passion. Maybe a friend raved about a new restaurant, describing not just the food but the experience. The sizzle of the steak, the warm lighting, the way the staff made them feel special. Their enthusiasm was contagious, wasn't it? That's the power of belief in action. When you're excited about what you're selling, that energy transfers to your customer naturally. This doesn't mean you have to fake excitement for something you don't care about. In fact, the opposite is true. The best salespeople choose to represent products and causes they genuinely believe in. If you find yourself struggling to get excited about what you're selling, it might be worth asking why. Are you focusing only on the features rather than the benefits? Or is this simply not the right product for you to be representing? Confidence in selling comes from understanding your product inside and out. When you know exactly how it works, who it helps, and why it's better than alternatives, you'll naturally speak with more authority. This is why car enthusiasts make great car salespeople, why tech geeks excel at selling electronics, and why teachers passionate about their subjects inspire students to learn. Knowledge breeds confidence, and confidence breeds trust. But what if you're selling something you're still learning about? The key is to focus on the aspects you do believe in. Maybe you're not an expert on every technical detail yet, but you can speak honestly about how the product has helped others, or why your company stands behind it. Authenticity matters more than perfect knowledge. People would rather buy from someone real who's still learning than from someone pretending to know everything. Your body language and tone communicate your belief before you even say a word. Stand tall, make eye contact, and speak clearly. Not with the exaggerated enthusiasm of a game show host, but with the calm assurance of someone who knows their product delivers value. This doesn't mean you need to be loud or extroverted. Quiet confidence can be just as compelling as bold energy. When you encounter objections or skepticism, and you will, your belief acts as an anchor. If a customer questions the price, you can confidently explain the value. If they're unsure about quality, you can share testimonials or guarantees. This isn't about being defensive. It's about standing firm in your knowledge that what you're offering is truly worth it. Interestingly, this principle works both ways. The more you believe in your product, the more customers will believe in it too. But also, the more positive experiences you have helping customers, seeing their satisfaction, hearing their thanks, the stronger your belief grows. It becomes a virtuous cycle where confidence leads to success, which builds more confidence. This doesn't mean you should ignore flaws or pretend your product is perfect. True belief means knowing both the strengths and limitations and being honest about them. Customers appreciate when you're upfront about what your product can and can't do. It makes you more trustworthy when you do recommend it for the right situations. Your belief also determines how you handle rejection. When you're fully convinced of your product's value, a no doesn't shake your confidence. It simply means this particular customer isn't the right fit. This mindset prevents discouragement and helps you stay positive through the inevitable rejections every seller faces. In many ways, selling is like being a guide. You're leading customers to a solution you genuinely believe will help them. This shift in perspective, from pushing a sale to guiding someone to a good decision, changes everything about how you approach selling. It becomes less about convincing and more about sharing something valuable. As you develop this skill, you'll notice it affects all areas of your life. The confidence to stand behind your ideas in class presentations, the assurance to negotiate for what you deserve, the ability to inspire others with your vision. These all stem from the same core belief in what you're offering to the world. Remember, people don't just buy products, they buy the confidence behind them. When you truly believe in what you sell, you're not just making sales, you're creating believers. And that's when you become truly unstoppable. Chapter 4. How to talk so people listen. Simple communication secrets. The difference between being heard and being ignored often comes down to how you deliver your message. Great salespeople understand that communication isn't about what you say, it's about what the other person understands. When you master the art of clear, compelling communication, you gain the power to make people lean in rather than tune out. Start by understanding that attention is the most valuable currency in any conversation. In our distracted world, you have mere seconds to capture someone's interest before their mind wanders to their phone or next thought. This means leading with what matters most to them, not what matters most to you. Instead of starting with product features, begin with the benefits that solve their specific problems. The rhythm of your speech matters more than you might realize. Speaking too fast makes you seem nervous or pushy, while speaking too slow can bore your listener. Aim for a conversational pace that matches the person you're talking to. This subtle mirroring creates unconscious rapport. Notice how their breathing and speech patterns change when they're engaged, and adjust accordingly. Your word choice makes all the difference. Complex industry jargon might make you sound smart to colleagues, but it often confuses potential customers. Instead, use simple, vivid language that paints mental pictures. Compare "this vacuum has a 12-amp motor" to "this vacuum sucks up pet hair in one pass." No more embarrassing tumbleweeds when guests arrive. Which version makes you want to buy? Questions are your secret weapon for keeping conversations flowing. Open-ended questions that begin with what, how, or tell me about encourage people to share more than yes/no questions. When someone explains their needs in their own words, you gain priceless insights for tailoring your pitch. Plus, people love talking about themselves. It's human nature. Silence can be your most powerful tool. Most beginners rush to fill every pause. Fearing quiet means disinterest. But strategic silence after asking an important question or making a key point gives the other person space to think and respond meaningfully. The person who speaks next after a pause often reveals their true thoughts or concerns. Body language speaks volumes before you utter a word. Maintain open posture, uncrossed arms, slight forward lean, and regular eye contact without staring. These nonverbal cues signal confidence and approachability. Mirror the other person's gestures subtly to build connection, but avoid mimicking which feels unnatural. Storytelling transforms abstract features into memorable benefits. Our brains are wired to remember stories far better than facts. Instead of listing product specifications, share how it helped someone like your listener. One customer told me, "Makes your point more relatable than any statistic." The right story at the right moment can overcome objections before they're even voiced. Timing affects receptivity more than content. Even the best message falls flat if delivered when someone's distracted or stressed. Learn to read cues. If they keep checking their watch or giving short answers, it's better to schedule another time than force the conversation. The same pitch that gets rejected at 4:45 p.m. on Friday might get approved at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. Authenticity trumps perfection every time. People connect with real human beings, not polished sales robots. It's okay to show personality, admit when you don't know something, and promise to find out, or share appropriate personal anecdotes. These touches make you memorable in a sea of generic sales interactions. Chapter 5. The Power of Questions. How to discover what people really want. The most skilled salespeople understand something profound. The person asking the questions controls the conversation. When you master the art of strategic questioning, you unlock the ability to uncover people's true needs, desires, and motivations. This transforms selling from a guessing game into a targeted solution-finding mission. Great questions do more than gather information. They make the other person feel understood. Most people go through their days rarely feeling truly listened to. When you ask thoughtful questions and genuinely listen to the answers, you immediately stand out. This builds the kind of trust that turns prospects into buyers and buyers into loyal customers. Open-ended questions are your golden ticket to meaningful conversations. What challenges are you facing with your current solution? Gets you far more valuable information than, are you happy with your current provider? The first invites stories and insights. The second invites a one-word answer that ends the dialogue. Follow-up questions are where the magic happens. When someone shares something important, responding with "tell me more about that" or "what's that been like for you?" demonstrates real interest, and often reveals the emotional drivers behind their decisions. These emotional triggers are what ultimately motivate purchases. Strategic silence after asking a question is a power move. Resist the urge to fill the quiet, give people space to think and respond fully. The most honest and revealing answers often come after that slightly uncomfortable pause when the other person feels compelled to elaborate. Questions can gently guide people to recognize their own needs. How much time does your current process take? Helps them quantify a pain point they may have overlooked. What would an ideal solution look like for you? Encourages them to articulate exactly what you might provide. Curiosity is your greatest ally. Approach each conversation with genuine interest in understanding the other person's world. This mindset shift from, I need to make a sale, to, I want to understand this person, changes everything about how you interact and makes the process more enjoyable for both parties. Questions also help overcome objections before they arise. What concerns would you need addressed before moving forward? Surfaces potential roadblocks early, giving you time to address them properly rather than being blindsided later in the process. The sequence of your questions matters as much as the questions themselves. Start broad. What goals are you working toward this quarter? Then gradually narrow focus. What's preventing you from hitting those targets? This logical progression feels natural and builds momentum toward your solution. Listening is the other half of powerful questioning. When you truly absorb answers rather than just waiting for your turn to speak, you catch subtle cues about priorities and concerns. Reflect back what you hear. It sounds like reliability is your top concern. To confirm understanding and deepen the connection, questions can reframe perspectives without confrontation. Have you considered how this might affect specific pain point? Introduces new angles gently. This works far better than directly contradicting someone's viewpoint, which puts them on the defensive. Your questioning style should adapt to different personalities. Analytical types appreciate data-focused questions. What metrics matter most in evaluating this? While relationship-oriented people respond better to questions about experiences and feelings. How has this problem impacted your team? Some of the most powerful questions are surprisingly simple. What's most important to you about this? Cuts through noise to reveal core motivations. What would make this an easy yes for you? Often uncovers the exact conditions needed to close a deal. Document the insights from your questions. When you notice patterns in what multiple customers ask or complain about, you gain invaluable intelligence for improving your product, messaging, and targeting. This creates a virtuous cycle where each conversation makes you more effective in the next. Questions build commitment gradually. How does this solution compare to what you've seen before? Gets them acknowledging positives. What would be the next step if you decided to move forward? Begins visualizing ownership. This psychological progression makes the final decision feel natural rather than abrupt. Remember that questioning is a skill that improves with practice. Keep a list of your most effective questions and refine them over time. Notice which ones spark engaging conversations versus which ones fall flat, and continuously optimize your approach. The beauty of mastering questions is that it works in every area of life. These same techniques help you build deeper friendships, negotiate better deals, and understand complex situations. When you become someone who asks great questions, you become someone people want to talk to, and that's the foundation of all successful relationships, business or otherwise. Chapter 6. Handling objections without fear, turning no into yes. Objections aren't roadblocks. They're invitations to deeper conversations. When someone resists or questions your offer, they're not rejecting you. They're asking for more clarity. The difference between an amateur and a pro is how they handle these moments. Instead of fearing objections, top performers welcome them as opportunities to better understand and address concerns. The first rule of objection handling is to listen completely before responding. When someone says, "It's too expensive," or "I need to think about it," our instinct is to jump in with an immediate rebuttal, but interrupting or rushing to defend your position makes the other person feel unheard. Instead, pause, let them finish, then acknowledge their concern with sincerity. "I appreciate you sharing that. It's an important point." This simple act of validation builds trust and keeps the dialogue open. Not all objections are what they seem on the surface. "I can't afford this" might really mean, "I don't yet see enough value." "I need to check with my partner" could signal uncertainty about the benefits. Your job is to uncover the real concern behind the initial response. Try gentle probing. When you say, objection, what's the main thing holding you back? This digs deeper without sounding confrontational. Once you understand the true objection, address it with empathy, not argument. If price is the issue, instead of discounting immediately, reinforce the long-term value. I get that this is an investment. Many of our customers felt the same way until they saw how much time/money/stress this saved them over time. Share a relatable example of someone who had similar doubts but ended up thrilled with their decision. Stories resonate far more than generic sales pitches. Some objections are actually hidden requests for more information. I've never heard of your company isn't rejection. It's a chance to build credibility. That's exactly why I'd love to tell you about how we've helped others in your situation. Pivots smoothly into sharing your strongest case studies or testimonials. Always have these proof points ready. They turn abstract concerns into solvable questions. Timing matters in objection handling. Responding too quickly can seem defensive. Waiting too long may imply you don't have a good answer. Aim for a balanced pace, brief pause to show you've considered their point, then a clear, confident reply. Your tone should convey patience and expertise, not desperation. People can sense when you're scrambling versus when you've genuinely helped others through the same hesitation. The feel, felt, found technique works wonders for common objections. I understand how you feel. Many of our customers initially felt the same way. What they found after trying it was. This three-step approach shows empathy, establishes that their concern is normal, and provides social proof from peers who overcame the same doubt. It's persuasive without being pushy. Sometimes the best way to handle an objection is to agree with it, partially. You're right, this won't work for everyone. That's why we're selective about who we partner with. This unexpected agreement disarms resistance while reframing the conversation toward mutual fit. It turns a potential negative into a qualifying statement that actually elevates your offering. Know when to persist and when to gracefully exit. If someone repeatedly rejects your attempts to address their concerns, they may genuinely not be the right fit, and that's okay. Pushing too hard damages relationships and your reputation. A simple, I appreciate your time. If anything changes, here's how to reach me leaves the door open for future opportunities while respecting their current decision. Every objection you face makes you better at selling. Keep a log of common pushbacks and refine your responses over time. Notice patterns. Are certain concerns recurring? That might indicate areas to improve in your initial presentation. The most successful salespeople don't just memorize rebuttals. They study objections to prevent them from arising in the first place. Ultimately, objection handling isn't about winning arguments. It's about guiding people past uncertainty to confident decisions. When you approach resistance with curiosity rather than frustration, you'll find most no's are simply not yets waiting for the right clarification. Master the skill, and you'll not only close more deals, you'll build stronger, more trusting relationships in every area of life. Chapter 7. Selling Face-to-Face. From lemonade stands to big business. There's something magical about in-person selling that no digital interaction can fully replicate. That moment when you make eye contact, sense someone's energy, and adjust your approach in real time creates connections that emails and ads never could. Whether you're a kid setting up a sidewalk lemonade stand or a professional pitching enterprise clients, the core principles of face-to-face selling remain surprisingly similar. Your first impression begins before you speak a word. People make subconscious judgments in seconds based on your posture, attire, and facial expression. This doesn't mean you need a fancy suit. It means your appearance should match your audience's expectations. A farmer's market vendor in overalls feels authentic. A financial advisor in the same outfit wouldn't. The key is looking like you belong in your customer's world while still standing out enough to be memorable. The opening seconds determine whether someone engages or walks away. Forget generic greetings like, "Can I help you?" They invite reflexive, just-looking responses. Instead, make observational statements that spark curiosity. "That's an interesting bag. Are you into hiking?" Or, "I noticed you checking out the red ones. Great choice for specific benefit." These personalized openers show you're paying attention, not just reciting a script. Physical products benefit from hands-on demonstrations. Our brains trust what we can touch and experience far more than what we're told. A baker letting customers sample warm cookies, a tech rep handing someone the actual tablet to try. These tactile experiences create emotional connections no brochure can match. Always find ways to get your product into the customer's hands within the first minute of interaction. Reading body language becomes your superpower in face-to-face sales. Leaning in signals interest. Crossed arms may indicate skepticism. A good salesperson mirrors these cues subtly, matching a customer's energy level, adjusting speaking pace to theirs to build unconscious rapport. But stay authentic. Over-mirroring feels manipulative while natural alignment feels comforting. The physical environment shapes the interaction more than we realize. At trade shows, positioning your booth to the right of the entrance catches most foot traffic. People naturally turn right. In stores, products at eye level outsell those on bottom shelves. Even something as simple as removing barriers between you and customers, stepping out from behind counters, can dramatically increase engagement. Control what elements you can to work in your favor. Transitions feel more natural in person. You can smoothly guide someone from browsing to considering to deciding through physical cues, handing them a product, gesturing toward a display, or moving to a seating area for longer conversations. These subtle spatial maneuvers help advance the sale without awkward verbal pushes that might trigger resistance. Objections become opportunities when you can address them immediately. Unlike emails where concerns might linger unanswered, in person you can demonstrate solutions on the spot. Too expensive? Show the premium materials up close. Not sure about quality? Offer an instant comparison with competitors. This real-time problem-solving builds confidence in ways digital interactions struggle to match. Closing the sale benefits from physical momentum. Handing someone a pen to sign, walking them to the register, or even just standing up if you've been seated, creates subtle psychological cues that it's decision time. These natural action prompts feel more organic than abrupt. Would you like to buy? Questions that might stall the process. Follow-up takes on new power face-to-face. A brief, "Great seeing you again," when a previous customer returns, builds loyalty faster than any email campaign. Remembering personal details, "How was your daughter's soccer game?" shows you value them beyond the transaction. These micro-moments of connection compound over time into lasting business relationships. The skills you develop selling in person translate to every area of life. That confident handshake, ability to read a room, and talent for thinking on your feet will serve you in job interviews, networking events, and leadership roles. While digital sales channels grow increasingly important, the human touch remains your most powerful differentiator in a crowded marketplace. Master face-to-face selling, and you master the art of influence itself. Chapter 8. Selling Online: How to Make People Click, Buy, and Love It. The digital marketplace never sleeps, but attention spans have never been shorter. Online selling isn't about shouting louder. It's about crafting irresistible value propositions that cut through the noise. Whether you're running an e-commerce store, promoting a course, or simply trying to get more engagement on social media, the principles of effective digital selling come down to understanding the psychology behind the click. Your first challenge isn't making the sale. It's earning the scroll-stopping moment. In a sea of infinite distractions, your headline or featured image has approximately 3 seconds to convince someone not to keep scrolling. This is why the most successful online sellers test dozens of variations to find what resonates. Save 20% today underperforms compared to the secret chefs use to keep knives razor sharp, because one focuses on the discount while the other promises transformation. Web copy should read like a conversation, not a brochure. People scan rather than read online, so break up text with compelling subheadings, bullet points, and bold highlights that convey key benefits at a glance. Every sentence should either build desire or overcome an objection. Notice how top e-commerce sites don't just list features. They paint vivid pictures of how your life improves. Wake up to coffee that tastes like Parisian cafes. Sells better than premium coffee beans. 12-ounce bag. Social proof has become the currency of online trust. A product with 287 authentic reviews at 4.8 stars converts far better than the same product with no reviews, even at a lower price. The most effective sellers strategically collect and display testimonials, user-generated content, and case studies at every friction point in the customer journey. That hesitant shopper reading your FAQ section? Seeing asked by customers like you with real responses can be the nudge that converts them. The checkout process is where most online sellers hemorrhage potential sales. Each additional form field increases abandonment. The best sites use progress indicators, step 2 of 3, offer multiple payment options, including digital wallets, and save information for returning customers. Unexpected costs at checkout cause 28% of cart abandonments, which is why transparent pricing, $29 plus tax, and free shipping thresholds work so well. Retargeting turns window shoppers into buyers. The average customer needs 7 to 13 touchpoints before purchasing, yet most sellers give up after the first interaction. Strategic retargeting ads, those products you viewed that seem to follow you across websites, remind potential customers what they considered, often with special incentives to complete the purchase. This isn't being pushy. It's being present when the customer is finally ready to buy. Mobile optimization isn't optional, it's existential. Over 60% of online purchases now happen on phones, yet many sellers still design primarily for desktop. Buttons need to be thumb-friendly, forms must autofill accurately, and images should load instantly even on slower connections. The best mobile experiences feel effortless, removing every possible friction between want and own. Email remains the workhorse of online sales, but only when done right. The most effective sequences feel personal rather than promotional, delivering value first before asking for the sale. A well-structured campaign might 1. Welcome with a helpful guide, 2. Share customer success stories, 3. Address common objections, then 4. Make the limited time offer. This builds know-like trust before asking for the credit card. Online selling never really ends at the purchase. That's when elite sellers differentiate themselves. Surprise thank you notes, exclusive post-purchase content, and thoughtful follow-ups turn one-time buyers into loyal advocates. The unboxing experience has become so important that some brands design packaging worthy of social media shares, effectively having customers market for them. The most successful online sellers obsess over data rather than guesswork. They track which products get the most clicks, but not purchases, which email subject lines get opened, and where in the funnel people drop off. This constant testing and optimization means they're always improving while competitors rely on hunches. Free tools like Google Analytics provide insights that were once only available to major corporations. What makes digital selling so exciting is its scalability. The same persuasive product page that convinces one customer can convince thousands without additional effort. But this also means competition is fierce. The sellers who thrive online combine the science of data with the art of persuasion, creating experiences so compelling that clicking buy feels less like spending money and more like investing in a better version of oneself. Master these principles and you'll find online selling isn't about technology. It's about understanding human psychology in a digital context. The platforms may change, but the fundamental desires to solve problems, belong, and improve our lives remain constant. Speak directly to those timeless needs through your digital presence, and you'll build not just transactions, but relationships that last. Chapter 9. The Magic of Storytelling, Why People Remember and Buy from You. Facts tell, but stories sell. Our brains are wired to remember narratives far better than statistics or bullet points. A well-told story activates multiple areas of the brain. The listener doesn't just hear your message, they experience it emotionally. This is why the most effective salespeople don't just list features. They wrap their offerings in compelling stories that resonate on a human level. Every great sales story follows a simple but powerful structure. Hero, your customer; problem, their pain point; guide you, solution, your product; and transformation, their better future. Notice who the real hero is, not your product but the customer. When you position them as the protagonist overcoming challenges with your help, they see themselves in the narrative and become emotionally invested in the outcome. Authenticity trumps polish in storytelling. People can spot a fabricated tale from miles away, but they'll lean in when you share real struggles and victories. Maybe it's how your first customer almost didn't buy but later sent a thank you note about how your product changed their business. Perhaps it's your own journey of frustration that led to creating this solution. These genuine stories build trust faster than any sales pitch. Sensory details make stories memorable. Compare "Our software speeds up processing" to "One accountant told me she used to dread month-end," the all-nighters, the coffee-fueled panic. Now she finishes by lunchtime and surprised her kids at soccer practice last week. The second version creates vivid mental images that stick long after the conversation ends. The best sales stories incorporate what psychologists call emotional transportation. The listener gets so absorbed they forget they're being sold to. You achieve this by focusing on relatable human experiences rather than product specs. Stories overcome objections better than arguments. When someone says, "I don't have time for this," sharing how another busy client found it actually saved them hours is more persuasive than listing time-saving features. The story proves what statistics can only claim, providing social proof wrapped in an engaging narrative. Different stories serve different purposes in the sales process. Origin stories build credibility. Why we created this. Customer success stories demonstrate results. Before and after stories highlight transformation. Even cautionary tales, "What happens if you don't solve this?" can motivate action when used sparingly. The skilled seller has an arsenal of relevant stories for each stage of the buyer's journey. Your delivery matters as much as the content. Pacing, pauses, and vocal variety turn a good story into an unforgettable one. Watch how comedians time their punchlines or how TED speakers build suspense. These techniques work equally well in sales conversations. Practice your stories until they feel natural but remain intentional about their structure and key moments. In digital marketing, storytelling separates generic ads from scroll-stopping content. The Facebook ad that shares a customer's journey in their own words outperforms the one listing product benefits. The email subject line teasing a surprising story gets opened more than the straightforward promotion. Even your website's About Us page should tell your why story, not just your what. Children's natural sales abilities prove the power of storytelling. Notice how kids don't present logical arguments for why they should get a puppy. They paint vivid pictures of playing fetch in the yard and promising to take responsibility. They make you feel the future joy, not just consider the facts. As adults, we often unlearn this instinct, replacing it with sterile pitches that lack emotional pull. Collect stories relentlessly. When customers share how they use your product, note the details. When you overcome an objection in a creative way, document it. These real-life experiences become your most powerful sales tools, constantly growing your library of persuasive narratives. Over time, you'll instinctively know which story to tell for each situation. The ancient art of storytelling remains the most cutting-edge sales technique because it speaks to what makes us human. In a world drowning in information but starved for meaning, those who can wrap truth in compelling narratives will always capture attention, build connection, and inspire action. Master this skill and you'll find people don't just buy from you. They remember you, refer you, and remain loyal long after the purchase. Chapter 10. Negotiation like a pro. Getting win-win deals every time. Negotiation isn't about beating the other side. It's about finding solutions where everyone walks away satisfied. The best negotiators approach deals as collaborative problem solvers rather than adversaries. They understand that the most sustainable agreements come when both parties feel they've gained real value, creating foundations for ongoing relationships rather than one-time transactions. Preparation separates adequate negotiators from exceptional ones. Before any important discussion, clarify your must-haves, nice-to-haves, and deal-breakers. Equally crucial is anticipating the other party's priorities. What do they truly value that you might concede without hurting your position? This dual perspective lets you craft creative trade-offs others overlook. A car buyer might not move on price but could secure free maintenance packages. A freelancer might accept a lower rate in exchange for a longer contract. The first offer often anchors the entire negotiation, which is why you should rarely make the initial concession. Let the other party reveal their position first when possible. If pressed to go first, aim slightly beyond your realistic target. This gives you room to concede while still reaching your actual goal. The key is making ambitious opening positions without appearing unreasonable, which can shut down productive discussion. Active listening becomes your superpower at the bargaining table. When you truly understand not just what the other side is saying but why they're saying it, you uncover hidden opportunities. That supplier insisting on faster payments might really be worried about cash flow. Could offering partial prepayment secure better terms elsewhere? Listen for emotional cues and unstated concerns that reveal their true pressure points. Bracketing is a technique master negotiators use instinctively. If you want $50, Ask for $60 so when you compromise at $55, you've won. But the real art comes in making concessions feel earned rather than given freely. If you can commit to X volume, I might be able to revisit the price maintains your leverage while showing flexibility. Always get something in return for every concession you make. Deadlines create urgency but can also create unnecessary pressure. While you should know the other side's timeline, when does their quarter end? When does their current contract expire? Avoid artificial deadlines that might force bad decisions. The most advantageous negotiations often occur when neither party feels cornered by time constraints, allowing for more creative problem solving. Body language and tone often communicate more than your words in negotiations. Maintain open posture and steady eye contact to project confidence without aggression. Mirroring the other person's speech patterns and energy level builds subconscious rapport. Silence can be powerful. After making an offer or concession, resist the urge to fill the quiet. Let the other party sit with your proposal and respond in their own time. Walk-away power is your ultimate leverage. Knowing your alternatives and genuinely being willing to pursue them prevents desperation deals. This doesn't mean bluffing. Truly develop your BATNA, best alternative to negotiated agreement, so you negotiate from strength rather than fear. Paradoxically, the less you need the deal, the better terms you usually secure. Emotion management makes or breaks negotiations. When discussions get heated, call for breaks rather than reacting impulsively. Frame disagreements as shared problems to solve. How can we bridge this gap? Rather than battles to win. If the other party becomes emotional, acknowledge their feelings without conceding position. I understand why you'd feel that way. Maintains rapport while keeping talks productive. The final handshake matters as much as the negotiation itself. However tough the discussion, conclude on a positive note that reinforces the relationship. I appreciate how we worked through those challenges together. Sets the tone for implementation. Follow up with written summaries of agreed terms to prevent misunderstandings, and always deliver on your promises to build credibility for future dealings. These principles apply far beyond business deals. They work when negotiating salaries, household responsibilities, or even parenting decisions. When you approach all negotiations as opportunities for mutual gain rather than zero-sum competitions, you'll find solutions that satisfy all parties while strengthening relationships. That's the mark of a truly skilled negotiator. Someone who leaves everyone feeling like they won. Chapter 11. Building long-term relationships. How to make customers come back. The most successful salespeople know that real wealth isn't in the first sale. It's in the lifetime value of a satisfied customer. While transactional sellers chase one-time deals, relationship builders create loyal advocates who return again and again. This shift in perspective transforms your entire approach, focusing not just on closing sales but on opening enduring partnerships that grow more valuable over time. Exceptional relationship building starts with delivering more than promised. That moment when customers realize they received extra value, whether it's unexpected follow-up, a small complimentary service, or personalized attention, creates the kind of delight that turns first-time buyers into lifelong fans. A restaurant owner who remembers a regular's favorite dish and has it ready before they order builds more loyalty than any discount coupon ever could. Communication after the sale matters more than the pitch before it. Most salespeople make the mistake of disappearing after the deal closes, only reappearing when they want another sale. The masters maintain consistent, value-added contact, sending relevant articles, checking in on how the purchase is working out, or simply remembering important dates like anniversaries or business milestones. These touches keep you top of mind without being pushy. Active listening evolves into anticipatory service with repeat customers. As you learn their preferences, patterns, and pain points, you can proactively address needs before they arise. The bookstore owner who sets aside new releases matching a customer's tastes, or the B2B sales rep who suggests inventory adjustments before seasonal rushes. These anticipatory moves demonstrate care that transcends typical vendor relationships. Handling problems well often builds stronger bonds than flawless service. When mistakes happen, and they will, your response becomes the test of the relationship's strength. A sincere apology, immediate solution, and appropriate compensation can turn frustrated customers into your most vocal supporters. They'll remember how you made things right long after forgetting the original error. Creating a sense of community around your business fosters powerful connections. Whether it's exclusive events for top clients, a private user group, or simply remembering and introducing customers with shared interests. These community-building efforts make people feel part of something beyond a transactional relationship. The strongest brands in any industry cultivate this tribal mentality among their user base. Teach your customers something valuable with no expectation of immediate return. Share industry insights, usage tips, or market trends that help them succeed, not just information that promotes your next sale. This generous approach positions you as a trusted advisor rather than just another vendor. The financial advisor who educates clients about market principles earns deeper trust than one who just pushes products. Systemize your relationship building without losing the personal touch. While you can't personally remember every customer's birthday, a well-designed CRM system can help you maintain consistent, personalized contact at scale. The key is using technology to enhance, not replace, genuine human connection. Automated messages should feel handcrafted, and data should inform but not dictate your interactions. Remember that small gestures often make the biggest impact. A handwritten thank you note, a quick check-in call, or sharing a resource specifically because it reminded you of a customer's project. These microactions accumulate into an unshakable foundation of goodwill. They demonstrate that you see customers as people, not just revenue sources. The ultimate test of relationship building comes when your customers become your sales force. Satisfied clients who refer others without being asked, who defend your reputation in online forums, or who provide testimonials without incentives. These organic advocates are the true measure of successful relationship selling. Their word carries more weight than any advertising ever could. In our increasingly digital world, authentic business relationships have become rare and valuable. By focusing on the human element beyond the transaction, you create competitive insulation no price war can breach. Customers who feel known, understood, and valued will pay premiums, forgive occasional missteps, and stick with you through market fluctuations. That's the power of relationship selling. It doesn't just build your business, it builds your legacy. Chapter 12. Selling without being pushy, the art of persuasion with integrity. True selling mastery lies in guiding decisions without pressure, helping people discover what they want rather than convincing them to take what you're offering. This subtle art of influence respects the buyer's autonomy while skillfully presenting options that genuinely serve their best interests. The paradox? When you stop trying so hard to sell, you actually become far more effective at it. The foundation of non-pushy selling is adopting a consultant mindset rather than a salesperson persona. Instead of thinking, how can I close this deal? Ask, what does this person truly need? This shift in orientation changes everything from your questions to your body language. People sense when you're focused on their welfare versus your quota, and they respond with remarkable openness to those who demonstrate authentic care. Powerful persuasion begins with creating space for the other person's thoughts. Ask open-ended questions, then practice what psychologists call deep listening, giving your full attention without formulating responses while they speak. This quality of attention is so rare in our distracted world that it immediately builds trust and rapport. You'll often find that customers persuade themselves when given adequate room to articulate their needs and hear their own reasoning aloud. Educating rather than pitching removes resistance. When you position yourself as a source of valuable information rather than just a seller of products, people lower their defensive barriers. A financial advisor explaining retirement options without pushing specific products, or a car salesperson demonstrating how to evaluate different models' safety features. These educational approaches build credibility while empowering buyers to make informed choices. The principle of social proof becomes your silent ally. Instead of telling prospects why they should buy, show them how others like them have benefited. Many teachers in your situation have found this helpful because it carries more weight than "this is the best solution." Case studies, testimonials, and usage examples allow the value to speak for itself without you having to make bold claims. Timing sensitivity separates the pushy from the perceptive. Skilled sellers recognize when to advance the conversation and when to pause. They don't rush through objections or steamroll hesitations. If someone needs time to think, granting space with a gentle follow-up plan, "Would it help if I sent you some additional information to review?" demonstrates respect that often leads to stronger commitments later. The language of collaboration replaces pressure tactics. Phrases like, "What would need to happen for this to work for you?" or "How can we make this fit your situation better?" transform the dynamic from adversarial to cooperative. This linguistic shift is subtle but powerful. It positions you as a problem-solving partner rather than a salesperson with an agenda. Non-pushy sellers understand that sometimes the right answer is not now. They'd rather preserve a relationship than force a bad fit, knowing that integrity today often leads to bigger opportunities tomorrow. The consultant who honestly advises against an unnecessary purchase earns the client's trust and future business more effectively than one who pushes for immediate sales at any cost. Your energy and presence communicate as much as your words. Maintaining relaxed body language, comfortable eye contact, and a patient demeanor signals that you're not desperate to close. This calm confidence paradoxically makes people more inclined to buy, as they sense you're not manipulating them but genuinely presenting options. The test of non-pushy selling comes when you can walk away from a sale that isn't right with no hard feelings. This emotional detachment from outcomes while still being fully committed to serving creates a refreshing dynamic where customers feel no pressure, yet often choose to move forward because they want to, not because they were coerced. Master this approach and you'll find selling becomes more enjoyable and less stressful. You're no longer wrestling to convince reluctant buyers, but instead having meaningful conversations that naturally lead to mutual agreements. This is selling at its highest level, where every transaction leaves both parties feeling good, and where your reputation as a trusted advisor grows with each interaction. In the long run, integrity sells better than intensity every time. Chapter 13. Dealing with rejection. Why no doesn't mean never. Rejection stings, even for seasoned sales professionals. But how you respond to no determines your long-term success more than how you celebrate yes. Every top performer has faced countless rejections. What separates them is their ability to extract value from each refusal and persist with undiminished enthusiasm. The first secret? Understanding that rejection is rarely personal, even when it feels that way in the moment. When a prospect says no, they're rejecting the offer or timing, not you as a person. The customer who turns down your product today might become your best advocate tomorrow, if you handle the rejection gracefully. Smart sellers maintain professionalism whether closing a deal or accepting a refusal, knowing that today's no often plants seeds for future yes answers. How you leave the conversation matters as much as how you entered it. Rejection contains valuable data if you're willing to listen for it. A polite "can I ask what led to your decision?" often reveals crucial insights about your offering, presentation, or market fit. Sometimes the feedback stings, but it's this uncomfortable information that helps you refine your approach. The most successful salespeople create systems to categorize and learn from rejections, spotting patterns that guide improvements. Your mindset about rejection becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you view each no as failure, you'll eventually burn out. But if you reframe rejections as necessary steps toward mastery, like a basketball player missing shots on the way to becoming accurate, you develop resilience. Some professionals even set rejection quotas, knowing that a certain number of no's statistically lead to yes in their industry. Timing often plays a bigger role in rejection than quality. The perfect prospect might say no simply because they're distracted by a quarterly deadline, not because your solution lacks merit. Savvy sellers note these situational factors and circle back at better moments rather than writing off opportunities permanently. A well-maintained follow-up system ensures no potential client slips through the cracks due to temporary circumstances. How you internally process rejection affects your next presentation. After a refusal, high performers have rituals to reset their mindset. Whether it's reviewing positive testimonials, recalling past successes, or simply taking a walk to clear their head, they understand that carrying one rejection's energy into the next call can start a negative chain reaction. Emotional compartmentalization is a learnable skill that separates consistent performers from erratic ones. Some rejections are actually blessings in disguise. The client who demands unsustainable discounts or shows disrespect during negotiations often becomes a nightmare customer. Learning to recognize these bullet dodgings and appreciate them helps reframe rejections as protection rather than failure. Over time, you develop intuition for which no's to accept gracefully and which to creatively overcome. Rejection tolerance is a muscle that strengthens with use. New salespeople often take early rejections hardest, while veterans develop what psychologist Martin Seligman calls learned optimism, the ability to view setbacks as temporary, specific, and external rather than permanent, pervasive, and personal. This mental framework allows them to persist where others give up, ultimately reaching higher success levels through sheer resilience. The most productive responses to rejection involve controlled reflection rather than rumination. After a no, top performers briefly analyze what they might improve, then deliberately shift focus to the next opportunity. In contrast, dwelling on rejections, especially replaying conversations endlessly, erodes confidence without providing actionable insights. Healthy detachment allows you to learn without beating yourself up. Long-term success belongs to those who outlast rejection, not those who avoid it. Every legendary sales career contains chapters of disappointment before breakthrough. The key is continuing to show up with consistent effort and enthusiasm. When you view rejection as tuition paid on the path to mastery rather than as punishment, you unlock the perseverance needed to achieve extraordinary results. Ultimately, how you handle rejection defines your career more than how you handle success. Those who face no with grace, curiosity, and determination build the emotional stamina for sustained achievement. They understand that in sales, as in life, every no brings you closer to the next transformative yes, if you have the courage to keep moving forward. Chapter 14. Practice makes perfect. Simple ways to improve every day. Becoming a master seller isn't about innate talent. It's about deliberate practice. The difference between average and exceptional performance lies in the daily habits that compound over time. Like a musician rehearsing scales or an athlete drilling fundamentals, top sales professionals commit to continuous improvement through structured, mindful practice. The good news? Small, consistent efforts create massive results when applied systematically over months and years. Start by identifying specific skills to develop rather than vague goals like get better at selling. Maybe you want to improve your opening questions, handle price objections more smoothly, or tell more compelling stories. Break these broad competencies into micro skills, the individual components that make up the larger ability. Just as a basketball player practices free throws separately from three-pointers, you'll progress faster by isolating and drilling specific sales techniques. Role-playing transforms theoretical knowledge into practical ability. Find a colleague or mentor willing to simulate sales conversations where you can practice new approaches in low-risk environments. The key is treating these sessions seriously. Maintain character, respond authentically to objections, and review recordings to spot verbal tics or missed opportunities. What feels awkward at first becomes natural through repetition, freeing your mental bandwidth for genuine connection during real calls. Create a feedback loop for every customer interaction. After meetings or calls, take 2 minutes to note what worked well and one area for improvement. This simple habit builds self-awareness while experiences are fresh. More advanced practitioners record their presentations with permission to analyze body language, tone, and pacing, the subtle factors that often make or break deals without us realizing why. Daily vocabulary building enhances your persuasive power. Keep a running list of compelling phrases you hear from top performers, then adapt them to your style. Collect vivid analogies that explain complex benefits simply, or memorable transitions that smoothly guide conversations. Like an artist's palette, having more verbal colors at your disposal lets you paint more convincing pictures for different audiences. Shadowing masters accelerates learning exponentially. When possible, observe top performers in your field, not to copy their style exactly, but to understand their principles and adapt them to your personality. Pay attention to how they open conversations, when they choose to speak versus listen, and how they structure their most persuasive points. Often, their brilliance lies in subtle choices invisible to casual observers. Reading widely makes you a more interesting and effective communicator. Beyond sales manuals, explore psychology books to understand decision-making, novels to absorb storytelling techniques, and industry publications to spot emerging trends. The most compelling sellers connect dots across disciplines, bringing fresh perspectives that make their pitches stand out from competitors' predictable approaches. Technology offers unprecedented practice opportunities. Use apps to practice speeches, video platforms to refine your on-camera presence, or AI tools to simulate challenging customer scenarios. While nothing replaces real human interaction, these digital tools provide safe spaces to experiment with new techniques and receive instant feedback at scale. Measure progress in percentages, not absolutes. Instead of expecting overnight transformation, track small wins, a 5% increase in appointment conversions, shaving 10 seconds off your value proposition clarity, or receiving more engaged responses to certain questions. These micro improvements, compounded over time, lead to complete performance reinventions without the frustration of unrealistic expectations. Create personal drills for weak spots. If handling objections is your challenge, list the 10 most common rejections and craft 3 responses for each. If starting conversations feels stiff, develop 20 natural opening lines for different scenarios. Like a boxer training footwork or a singer practicing scales, these focused exercises build the muscle memory that makes excellent performance instinctive when it matters most. Mindset matters as much as technique. Begin practice sessions with a specific intention. Today, I'll focus on pausing after questions and conclude by acknowledging progress, however small. This structured reflection prevents mechanical repetition without growth. Remember that even world-class performers spend most of their time practicing, not performing. They just make their practice count through quality attention. The most successful sellers view themselves as perpetual students. They know markets evolve, customer expectations shift, and yesterday's winning approaches become tomorrow's outdated tactics. By maintaining a beginner's mindset, curious, humble, and always seeking to improve, they future-proof their skills against industry changes and competitive threats. Your sales ability today is simply the sum of all your practice to date. The good news? Starting now, every intentional effort begins reshaping that equation in your favor. Small, daily investments in your craft create compound interest more valuable than any single big sale. Mastery isn't a destination. It's the quality you bring to the journey of constant improvement. Chapter 15. Your Selling Superpower. How to find your unique style. The most magnetic salespeople aren't those who perfectly mimic others. They're the ones who discover and amplify their authentic strengths. Your unique personality, experiences, and perspective form a competitive advantage no one can copy. This final chapter isn't about adding new techniques, but about uncovering the special qualities you already possess that make people want to buy from you specifically. Self-awareness is the foundation of your signature style. Take inventory of moments when selling felt effortless. What were you doing differently? Maybe your humor naturally breaks the ice, or your analytical mind excels at explaining complex benefits simply. Perhaps your patience makes nervous buyers feel safe. These natural tendencies point to your innate superpowers waiting to be fully unleashed. Resist comparing yourself to extroverted showmen if that's not your nature. Some of history's most effective sellers were quiet listeners who built deep trust. Your background contains unexpected selling assets. That summer job waiting tables taught you to read subtle cues. Your hobby gardening gives you patience and nurturing metaphors. Even challenging life experiences build empathy you can channel when connecting with customers' frustrations. The most compelling sellers weave these personal threads into their professional approach, creating a style that feels genuine because it is. Signature strengths often hide in plain sight. What comes so naturally to you that you assume everyone does it? Maybe you instinctively find common ground with strangers, or you have a gift for simplifying technical details. These obvious abilities are frequently your most valuable differentiators when developed intentionally. Ask colleagues what they admire about your approach. You'll often discover strengths you've underestimated. Authenticity resonates more than polish. Customers spot and appreciate real human connection amid today's sea of scripted sales interactions. This doesn't mean being unprofessional. It means allowing appropriate glimpses of your personality while maintaining expertise. The sales rep who admits, "I actually struggled with this same issue last year," builds more credibility than one pretending to have all the answers. Your ideal customers will respond best to the real you. Trying to mirror every prospect's style is exhausting and ineffective long-term. Instead, attract buyers who appreciate your authentic approach, whether that's direct and efficient, warm and conversational, or detail-oriented and systematic. These natural connections lead to more enjoyable, productive relationships for both sides. Develop your own frameworks rather than copying others' scripts. While learning proven techniques is valuable, the most powerful approaches emerge when you adapt methods to fit your personality. Maybe you create visual comparison charts instead of verbal pitches, or develop a signature opening question that plays to your strengths. These personalized systems become recognizable parts of your professional brand. Your voice matters, literally and figuratively. Record yourself explaining a product you love. Then listen for moments when your energy feels most natural and compelling. That vibrancy, not some imagined sales voice, is what you want to cultivate. The same principle applies to writing. Your emails and proposals should sound like the best version of you, not a corporate robot. Confidence grows from competence, not imitation. As you identify and refine your strengths, you'll develop unshakable assurance that outperforms borrowed bravado. This genuine confidence becomes self-reinforcing. The more you trust your unique abilities, the more effectively they work, which builds even greater confidence. Your selling superpower evolves throughout your career. Early on, it might be relentless enthusiasm. Later, it could become strategic insight or mentorship wisdom. Regular self-assessment ensures you're always leading with your current strongest assets rather than clinging to outdated approaches. The most successful professionals reinvent themselves while staying true to their core strengths. The marketplace rewards distinctive voices, not perfect replicas. Think of the most memorable teachers, leaders, or salespeople you've encountered. Chances are they stood out because they fully owned their style rather than conforming to expectations. Your quirks and unconventional strengths are features, not bugs, in building connections that convert. Finding your superpower isn't about limiting yourself. It's about having a home base to return to as you experiment with new techniques. Like a tree growing stronger roots while extending its branches, your core strengths provide stability as you expand your skills. This balance between authenticity and growth creates lasting success. As you close this book and begin applying its lessons, remember, the world doesn't need another generic salesperson following the same old scripts. It needs you, with your unique perspective, experiences, and abilities, showing up fully to serve customers in ways only you can. That's not just good selling. That's how you build a fulfilling career and leave your mark on the profession. Your superpower has been there all along. Now go let it shine.